This is the third presentation of this week, and we've recorded all of them, and I just clicked record. So those that are listening via the recording, welcome. We want to, as I just was saying to the audience here now, we want to look at financial plans. We want to look at income plans and discuss how we can put ourselves in the very best position to possibly succeed. Because I know there's a lot of worries going on in the world. There's a lot of fears. We look at what's going on in Europe, what Vladimir Putin has been saying recently. We look at what's going on in politics, knowing that there's a big midterm election coming up. And even more so than that, we look at a tremendously slowing economy. We look at rising interest rates and a stubbornly high inflation. And so what can we do to succeed in these areas or succeed in a time like this? That is exactly our topics for today. And so how do I know if I have enough in retirement? And how do I know if I have enough income? How do I know if I have enough investments? How do I know if I have enough time? How do I know if I have enough? Well, you fill in the blank for yourself. But we've got to discuss a couple of different just topics kind of surrounding this. What is your definition of enough? Do you know what you can control? And most importantly, how do you know if you have enough, once you have that defined, enough income and investments in retirement? I hear these questions and concerns a lot. You know, the question gets shaped a lot of different ways, but it's essentially someone asking, will I run out of money in retirement? I look at the world, it's a dumpster fire, and I'm afraid of the world. A lot of times I hear a retiree saying that, and they mean just as much of, I am afraid for my kids, I'm afraid for my grandkids, I'm afraid for my great-grandkids, but also look at it and I say, am I going to have enough money to last the rest of my life? And in many ways, we know how you feel. Of course, we're not retired, so I don't know how that feels in retirement, but I see the same news that you do. There's plenty out there in the world to be afraid, but I've never known anyone to succeed from a position of fear. Okay, we all have resources, we all have opportunities. We need to be responsible in how we manage those. But financial worries and drudgery that weigh on all of us, and I've been there. You know, I say this a lot to clients, and y'all have heard me say this before. You'll hear me say it plenty of times. When you look at the stock markets, you look at the bond markets, you look at the financial worries in the world, one of us is going to stay awake at night. Regarding this topic, both of us should not stay awake at night. I'll let you guess who's going to stay awake anyway. You've hired us to worry about things like that. So let us worry about investments. Let us worry about avoiding large losses and investing in winners and following our rules and that sort of nature. But together, we must put together a good plan. And today we're going to look at a system that we've used for quite a few years now. But his system has helped thousands of people retire well, and it can give you a plan that can give you up to a 95% probability of success. Now, 95% is not 100. It's not guaranteed. You know, when you're planning for the financial future, just like anytime you're looking out in the future, you have to recognize you can't predict it, okay? We don't know when global pandemics are going to happen. We don't know when inflation is going to seep in because the government pushed $5 trillion into the economy in 1 year. But the things that we can control, we want to control well. So today, the big point I want you to walk away with from this call is that you know there is an income planning method, and for you to work with your advisor, your sound advisor, to know to both of y'all the best ability that you can create together, that if you to know, do you have enough income and investments for retirement? We want to conquer the financial villain of fear and entrapment. I want to do away with the fear of running out of money. Okay, so what do we have to do this? Well, we got to get back to the basics of blocking and tackling. Okay. So we want to answer the question of how much is enough? How much do you need to live? Well, do the math. What are your basic expenses? And then what are your goals? What do you want to do What do you want to do in retirement if you're not retired yet? What do you need to do to get to retirement? If you still got to pay for college and weddings like I do, what do you got to do to pay for college and weddings? Okay. How much does this cost? This is a simple math problem. And I know it may take you a little bit of time, but it is well worth it for you to know your expenses. And then you need to know how much your income is and how much your income should be. And what's the difference? You know, because some of your income you control, some of it you don't. You cannot control how much your Social Security income is, but you can control how much income that you take from your investments. Because when you're looking at your income, you must consider what is both the cost of success and what is the cost of failure. In other words, do you have enough income to match your lifestyle, or do you need to adjust your lifestyle to match the appropriate income that you should take? Or so that you can avoid the cost of failure. Do you know what the cost of failure is? What does it cost you if you run out of money? What does that cost you practically? What does that cost you emotionally? And the failure could also be just of not reaching your goals. I know that all of us have to choose between goals. Okay, Zuckerberg or Gates, we don't have any clients named Zuckerberg or Gates, and so most of us have to choose between goals. Okay, we got to decide. I want to leave a legacy for my family. I want income in retirement. I want to give to charities. I want to give to this ministry. I want to invest in this way. Well, we got to rank those goals and which ones are most important and which ones can we get to. And that's okay. That's just life. We all know that, because it helps us understand what matters most. Okay? You want to succeed in retirement. We all want you to succeed. So we got to do the hard work of choosing what matters most and recognizing what we can control. Adrian Rogers, in one of his old sermons, estimated that about 95% of the things that we worry about either fall into the category of have never happened and are never going to happen, or it falls in the category of being in the past, out of our control and not really mattering in our life. Okay, you think about it. That might be a very true statement. You know, a statistic. He was doing it a little off the cuff in a sermon, but 95% of the things we worry about are out of our control, don't matter, have never happened, and are never going to happen. That's pretty comforting. So then you look at the 5% of the things we do worry about, and he estimated about half of those things are in the future, and we can participate in the outcome. And so therefore we need to think about what's happening in the future. We need to take disciplined, responsible action. Or half of that 5%, so 2.5%, were in the past, and we just need to respond appropriately, wisely, maturely, and take the appropriate action in response to something that's happened in the past. So we need to think about, focus on things that matter and things that we can control. Okay? Because let me let you in on a big secret. Neither you nor I control the stock market. Neither you nor I control the interest rates, inflation, politics. We all get one vote, that's it. We don't control the price of groceries or gas, but we can control our response. And so this is what we've done this year. Sound Financial has, and will continue to do so, moved away from risk in most of our investments. We have sold positions that were risky and moved to a significant risk-off position. And almost all of our portfolios were mostly cash, mostly short-term treasury bonds, even treasury bills. Okay. Now, I will say this. I think we've done an excellent job with 90 to 95% of those decisions. There's one decision that I regret this year. I can't stand it. I wish we had sold the Pacer position, the PTBD position, heck, a year ago. Okay, hindsight's always 20/20, and that was a very good position. It was very well built, and it just got hit in the mouth this year because bonds, which are historically conservative positions, have taken it on the chin. And so when we look back over the last 9 to 12 months, if I'm second guessing ourselves, that's the position I'm second guessing. It's not that bad if we're only second guessing one trade. Okay. So we've moved very well risk off. So we can't control the markets, but we can get out of the way of risk in the markets. Okay. And at the same time, we can't predict the future, but we got to be prepared to reinvest in the future. But I firmly believe that if we plan well together, you will be in good shape because you control much of your expenses and much of your income, and that affects the economy in your household far more than the stock or the bond markets. So granted, as I said a second ago, you don't control Social Security, but you're getting a big raise in Social Security this year. You don't control your pension, okay? But you can control how much income you take out of your investments. And so as I look at that, I say, how do you know? Well, how do you know what? How do you know if you have enough income in investments in retirement? So as we dig in deeper and we develop a plan so that you can know that you have enough, okay? See, I have a theory on this. I believe that most people do not care what happens in the stock or the bond markets. You absolutely do not care about the 200-day moving average, the Buffett indicator, the CPI, or the Fed's funds rate. You couldn't care less. Now, the news is packed with all that information right now. But the truth is, I believe that we just want enough income to last in retirement. And those of us that are still working, we just want the certainty of income to have financial freedom. So that's the result we really want. Let's focus on that, okay? And I asked myself, how can we answer this question? Well, we used to do this with a pen and a paper and a financial calculator. Still do that in a lot of conversations. But today, technology helps a lot, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we will use Riskalyze, which is a technology that gives us a hypothetical scenario and a hypothetical income plan. And I want to be clear when we look at this, while I want each of you to have a high quality income plan and we're going to have great confidence of what's going on in the future, Riskalyze is using past market data to attempt to predict the future. Okay? It's not exact. It's not a crystal ball. That's why the highest probability of success that we could possibly get is a 95%. We'll consider that an A+, okay? But we still got to know that we've got to manage it and pay attention to this as time goes on. So in this particular scenario, we're going to make some assumptions. We're going to assume that this client is 70 years old, husband and wife, and they have $350,000 in an IRA. They have $5,000 in total income. Let's just call it total gross income. We're not going to deal with taxes in this conversation. $2,000 of that $5,000 is from their IRA. $3,000 is from their combined Social Security. Now, they have a combined expenses typically of about $3,500 a month, and they're relatively debt-free. They feel like they're in good shape, and they are, okay? But the news is scaring them, the markets stink, and they're really worried about what they can do. And so what I want you to do as we look at these scenarios, I want you to picture yourself, okay? I want you to picture your account values, your income, your expenses, your lifestyle. These scenarios should turn into a meeting with your advisor and an income plan for you, because I want you to consider the joy of success, okay? But we also should consider the cost of failure so that we can plan well together. We got to be honest enough with ourselves to look at both, okay? So here we go. I'm going to share a different screen. All right. So we've got our Riskalyze screen. Tanya, correct me if I'm not on the right screen, okay? So in this particular screen, you see that I'm really creative. This hypothetical client is Chris Test. Really spend a lot of time coming up with creative names here. And if we're looking at your accounts and your account value, what you would see right here is your actual account and how it's invested, portfolios that are either past or current that we've created together with you. And we'll see what's called a retirement map. And we want to, this retirement map that we want to focus on, okay? So this particular client is 70 years old, born in 1972. Typically, we've used an inflation rate of 2%. We're going to bump that up to a 2.5% inflation rate, because we think that inflation could run a little higher. Statistically, it's certainly going to run a little higher across the 2020s, but it's probably going to stay a little higher in that decade here. Said that this client's taking $2,000 a month at the moment. Okay, they have $350,000 in their investments. Let's look at how they're looking. Okay, we're going to go back and change one more proposal, because their core portfolio is the hedged moderate income portfolio. Now, as I said, this client's doing well in retirement, but they're pretty worried. What is their probability of success? In this case, it's 39%. This is projecting, this red line is their core, their average projections over a wide range. This range of shaded area is the range of projections. This red line going down is the core projection. It is projected that they would run out of money in 19 years. I don't consider this a very successful probability. I've had clients tell me many times, hey, I raised my kids, I paid for their college, they're on their own, I don't care if I leave them a dime. Now, I am perfectly happy to put together a financial plan that incorporates that attitude. That's quite all right. That it is your money, it's up to you. However, if you tell me, Chris, I want my last check to bounce, I'm going to say, what date are you going to go home and be with the Lord on? And I can make that check bounce on that day. But if you can't tell me what date you're going to die, I can't make that plan. All right. We still got a plan for your money to last. And so in this case, this client's 39% probability. I want to see you have a higher probability of success than 39%. There's only two things we can do. We can either take more risk to attempt to earn a greater return, or you can take less income. That's the only two things that can make your money change and grow and do anything different. You either have to grow more or take less out. Typically, I'm going to recommend both. Now, as I show scenario of growing more, keep in mind, in this current environment, I'm not necessarily recommending that. I know markets are tanking. Trust me, I watch them all the time, every day. But when the time is right, when markets turn around, there will be a time when our recommendation to you very likely will be, hey, you need to take a little more risk. We need to add some stocks to this portfolio to attempt to gain a greater return. So let's assume that we do that. We're going to take a step up to a traditional 60% stocks, 40% bonds portfolio. This is our biblically responsible model. And in our traditional model, in our traditional 60-40, excuse me, I keep calling it traditional, in our BRI 60-40, we're still going to use our risk on, risk off measurements. But in this particular technology, that's not measured. It's a stagnant portfolio over the last period of time that this is measuring. Okay. So in this case, by just moving up the stock exposure 15%, we gain a 13% increase in probability of success up to 52%. So if we just grow more, we get a better than 50-50 chance of success. We get a higher likelihood of this money lasting for the next 20 years. Okay? But 52% is still not good enough for me. And I said, there's two things that we can do. We need to take more risk, or we can take less income. Let's see if we can continue to take more risk and gain a greater return. So we're going to look at a full 75% stock, 25% bond portfolio, and we get up to a 60% probability. We're gaining ground, right? We're getting in the right direction. However, to me, 60% is still not good enough, and we're starting to get some diminishing returns. In other words, there's only so far you can grow yourself out of a losing position in a portfolio. Now, what I call a losing position is probably a poor choice of words. You've saved this money in retirement, your investment, your IRAs that rolled over from your pension, your 401k, or other savings and investment accounts that you had. You saved these for retirement. You didn't save them to stick them in an account and look at a pretty little scoreboard every month called a monthly account statement. In fact, I wish we'd just throw monthly account statements away for right now. There's a purpose for this money, and spending it sometimes is a part of that purpose. I totally get that, all right? But when you're spending money, the opposite effect from what happened throughout your entire career is taking place. So throughout your entire career, you saved systematically into a 401k through the ups and the downs of the market. Your dollar cost averaged in, and it grew over the last 30 years, and you made really nice money in most cases. right? You're now doing the opposite. You're taking money out of the account, and it's still doing this, the markets are anyway. And as they do this, that taking the money out works against you. It's just a fact, and it's perfectly acceptable. It's just a fact that we need to recognize, okay? So I said there's two things that we can do for you, and one's take more risk, and two is take out less income. Let's go back to the original portfolio, the hedged moderate income, and let's just take out less income. Our system suggests taking $1,500 a month. Now, remember, this client has $5,000 in income, $3,500 in expenses. Taking out $500 less in income probably doesn't change their lifestyle any at all. I've actually found this to be true often, okay? That just like all of us, when we have a lot of extra income, we're like, where's it going? I don't know. Grandkids and stuff at the ballpark and stuff at the mall and stuff at the hunting camp and stuff. It's like, I don't know. Typically the answer is I don't know. And so simply by lowering the client's income, in this case, by $500, it moves their probability of success up to 91%. I love that number a lot better. Anything above 80% probability of success starts to make me happy. I really like to get it above 90. And so what if we also add, now we're on the successful side of this conversation. Let's say that we added a little bit of risk and we put it in the 60-40 portfolio. Now, what I really like about this is it strengthens this position of this solid green line, and it strengthens the probability of success. Now, 20 years from now, the account has still gone down, but there's still a strong income in there for late in life needs, to continue to grow to continue to have an income. And also, this is anticipating a 2.5% inflation. So this is an anticipating an increased income over that period of time. And nearly everyone that I'm sitting down with these days and doing this sort of income plan with, I'm seeing scenarios like that where we need to take a little bit of less income, and they're able to do it. Even in the middle of this high inflation, they're able to take a little bit less income. And we need to add a little bit of risk to the portfolio when the time is right. And we're able to come up with this very nice mixture to formulate a successful plan for them. And that's exactly what we want for you. And so with each of you, as we look at these portfolios, I want you to consider how would this look for you? What should we do for you to help you get into a good, solid both investment and income position? And over the next 6 to 9 months, we need to have a conversation that results in you having an income plan.